السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. كل سامعين إنس وجن الله سبحانه وتعالى خلق الإنسان مقصد العظيم. الحمد لله وعده ونصر عبده وأنزل ضعفه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. English? English. My respected brothers, elders, ulama kiram, close friends, and all my well-wishers, Ins and Jinns, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My respected fellow brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of creations, the king of kings, the one who is only capable of showing mercy to all of his creation, and the one who is only capable of providing the rizq for everything that he has created. He is from before and forever. He will never die. He has no parents, no mother, no brother, no sister, no wife, no father. He is Hayy. He is always alive, always has been, always will be. This is our Allah. And Allah, He created all of us. He created everything that we see, and He also created everything that we do not see. He created everything which our capacity to understand His existence, i.e. the things that we understand, He created them. But He also created all of those things that we do not understand. This is why He is Hakim. And the things that we see are obvious. Some of us see more, some of us see less. Some of us see things in a different sphere. Some of us see things in a different dimension. But illa mashallah, tamam insaniyat does not see one of his creations which lives, sits and is mawjood here now amongst us, and they are the people of the jinn. Like He created us, He also created jinn. He created malaika, He created mu'akkilin, He created so many other different classes of makhluk, which for them there is hardly any tazkirah, because they are oblivious to your and mine and the existence of insan and jinn. They do not interfere with our lives. The only things which have any relevance to our existence in this world is ourselves, the jinn, the malaika, and the mu'akkilin. And everything that interferes in our life is the latter thing. But the first and foremost thing which interferes in our life ultimately is our own nafs, our desire. And our desire, believe it or not, is stronger than any influence of a shayateen or jinn on an individual person. So let it not be taken as an excuse, like it is in this day and age, that when somebody's son goes astray, they say, oh, he's affected, he's possessed by sahaba, he's possessed by jinn. It is not so. Many of the people who come through our doors are not affected by any of these two categories. They are only affected by their own desires, and their desires lead them to do the wrong thing. Parhal, this is insan and his nafs. Jinn. Today's topic is about jinn and sahar, jadoo. How many kinds of jinn did Allah make? Why did He make them? Where do they live? What do they look like? How much capacity and power do they have? How much interference do they have in the lives of a mu'min? Very carefully listen, a mu'min, not a human, a mu'min. A kafir, a mushrik is different from a mu'min. A mu'min is someone who is in iman, who believes in Allah, and he believes in the Quran, and he believes in the Sunnah. How much does this creation interfere and do dakhal in an individual's life. First of all, why did Allah create jinn? A lot of us believe that there is no such thing, that there is no such thing as jinn. If you believe that there is no makhluk called jinn, then your iman is not mukammal. Because you have missed out a very enlightening chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Jinn. And if you do not believe in one ayah or one word of the Quran, you are not in iman. So, jinn exists. Why? Because Allah says they exist. He says it in His Quran. Many times He has said it. The most tazkirah, the most remembrance in the Quran of any makhluk is insan. Then it is the jinn, and then it is the malaika. Why? The Quran was sent for the benefit of mankind and for jinn. Malaika have no contact with the hukam of the Quran. They are already given their orders, and there is no interference and change until Yawm al-Qiyamah in the orders that they were given from the day that they were created. I.e., the angels who are enlisted just to carry one drop of rain, they will only do that. They will not have any other second role in their entire existence until Qiyamah. But insan is a very adaptable, very capable, and he is the best of Allah's creation. Hence, more tazkirah in the Quran is about insan and how he should live and how he should not live. Jinn. We all know Iblis is a jinn. But there is two categories of jinn. There is the shayateen and then there is the jinn. The jinn are those who have accepted iman, Islam. Shayateen are those who are baghi, who do not accept Islam, who are disobedient to Allah and the Quran and the Sunnah. And they are in a state of kufr. They are shayateen. And the strongest of the jinn, or shayateen, is the class that we know as ifrit. They are the super class, as we say. And the smallest of the jinn that we know, because there is 11 different kinds of jinn makhluk. And the smallest is the bull. A simple word, bull. These are very, very small jinn. And they hinder in your life the most. When it is time for azan or fajr, they will come and they will whisper. And they will whisper not to you, they will whisper to your desire. Just press the snooze button for 5 minutes. This is how they hinder your life. But the jinn which does the most dakhal in a human being, mu'min's life, is the jinn which we know as the marid. وَحِفْظًا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْطَانٍ مَارِدٍ. Protect me from the shaitan called marid. This is the jinn that does walk on 2 legs. It walks on 4. Many of you in your existence, in your life, will have seen some form of jinn in person, in existence, in its physical form, in a different shape, but you will never have recognized it. The cat that you saw walking across the road could have been a jinn. The dog, or the snake that you saw, or even a donkey, a horse, a cow, a camel. Any of these shapes and forms can be taken by a jinn. But not all jinn can change forms. Not all of them can change. Only some of these are endowed with this power and capacity to change and shift form. The Ifrit can do this, the Marid can do this, Jajan can do this, the Nasnas can do this, the Yabas can do this. Only 5 classes can do this. And they are here, they are listening. They sit in your madrasa, they sit in your masjid, they pray namaz behind your own imams, in your own maktabs. Your ustad is teaching human children, and there are jinn children present without anybody knowing that they are there. Can it be? Because in this space between my 2 hands, you can fit a whole family of jinn, or in this entire area you can fit 1 jinn. Depends which size and form it wants to make itself present in. Sometimes the jinn, they will come to the ustads and the imams of the maktabs, the madaris, and they will have a question. Because they are mu'min. And for them also halal and haram is daruri. So they will ask, what is our masail for this? What is our masail for this? And if we can answer this question, then we will give them the answer. If we can't answer it, then we will say, we need time to go and do muraqabah, or to ask someone who is more knowledgeable in this actual field from which you want more ilm for, and then come back again in a few days and we will give you the answer. This has been going on for centuries. There are a few alims in this majma, I know. But none of these alims will have been taught in their maktab by their Shaykh al-Hadith, the Kitab of Jinn. Why? Because it doesn't affect your lives. It doesn't affect the role that you will play in society after you have done your mishkat and gone on to run your madrasas and to do your imamat. It is a bit specialized. It is a different world. It's a different understanding. Another thing, I've told you how many there is. How much is their population? Their population is more than insan. To talk about populations, the entire content of Jahannam, 99% of everything that goes into Jahannam will be Yajud Majud. 1% outstanding will be insan and shayateen or bagi jinn. Of that 1%, 7 parts of that 1% is the makhluk of shayateen and jinn, and 3 parts is plus insan. So they outnumber us. They outnumber us in a huge quantity. But they do not wish to interfere in our lives. No. They have their own kings, they have their own countries, they have their own hukumat, they have their own police, they have their own army, they have their own professionals, they have their own academics, they have their own maktabs, madaris, everything they have. Why? They were here before we were. The jinn have walked on this earth, shayateen, jinn have walked on this earth 2,000 years qabal to the creation of Adam alayhi nabiyyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam. 2,000 years before insan came into this world, the jinn were already here. And they were banished to the depths of the oceans. But they are still free to roam up to the first heaven. And they are here. Some have accepted the risalah of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam in the silsila that they came, i.e. from Judaism to Christianity to Islam. They have followed the sequence. Others did not, and they refuted the words of the Nabi, and they stayed non-Muslim. How old are they? In Ibn Majah there is a riwayat to the close translation that once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was traveling with his Sahaba ajma'in, and he heard someone do salam. So he said, wa alaikum salam, and then he said, come. And a jinn came, invisible to the human eye, but the Prophet ﷺ could see it. And it came, and it sat, and he said, show yourself to everybody. So it revealed itself in the form of an old man. It was so old that to look, it had to lift up its eyes. His eyelids were so drooped with age. And Rasulullah ﷺ asked him, what is your name? And he said, my name is Aamil. He asked him, what is the name of your father? He said, the name of my father is Aamil. He asked him, what is the name of your grandfather? And the jinn replied, my grandfather's name is Ilyas. The grandson of Iblis was alive and he was ready to accept Islam, and he did accept Islam at the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 and something years ago. How old does that make him? Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, tell me, what did you do when Adam alayhi salatu wasalam came into this world? He said, at that time I was young, very young and full of energy and life. I used to jump from mountain peak to mountain peak. I used to look at the fields of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam as he toiled with the land and planted his crops, and I used to steal from his field melons and cucumbers and used to eat them. He saw Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Demographically, this makes him more than 8,000 years old. 8,000 years old. One makhluk can live this long. If Allah wishes, it can live for much longer. Look at the malaika. They were created before Adam, before the jinn. They are still alive. They are not dead. They will die only when Qiyamah comes. Today, if we live for 100 years old, everyone is mashallah, mashallah, he's 100 years old, which is a great accomplishment. The normal jinn at 100 years old is still a little baby. Age is dependent on how they live. Before, they did not intermingle with the humankind so much. They lived outside our civilization, outside our cities and our villages, away from us, because they detest the human being. Even those who are not in Iman, they detest us. And those who are in Iman only tolerate us. Because we are noisy. Our children are noisy. We are untidy. And we have one thing that this makhluk does not have. We have the beauty which they do not have. Allah created insan, the most beautiful creation that He has ever made. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah put His khasiyat in the beauty of insan. The jinn in his normal form is so hideous to look at. If any one of us was to see it, our heart would not be able to tolerate it and it would kill us. Our hearts would not take the strain. For his eyes are vertical, not horizontal like mine or yours, vertical. They are red with yellow and a black dot. His hair, it stands on end. It does not comb flat like mine and yours. It stands on its end. It has no thumb. It has fingers, long elongated fingers. It has limbs just like me and you. But it does not walk on this earth. Because this earth, this land, this earth is for insan to walk. It walks above it. Its ankle formation is different to the human being. Before, they used to dress in things that they used to take off normal trees. Now, similarly, men used to dress only in animal skins. Now man is wearing Armani suits and nice abayas with nice embroidery. As civilization has crept forward and advanced technologically and superficially, similarly so has their species. And they also wear what you wear and I wear. Their food is the food from the bones that you have discarded. As soon as they touch them, Allah puts meat on them and they can consume it. This is their food. The offal, the manure from our cattle is the food for their cattle. Rasulullah said this, is in Bukhari, it's in all the maktabs, it's in all the big kitabs. So they have cattle. They have cattle. They have a police force. They have kings. 7 kings rule the dominion of all of the jinns, of which 4 are Muslim, 3 are non-Muslim. But there is an equilibrium between them, an understanding. Sometimes they go to war, just like humans go to war. Sometimes they are at peace, just like humans are at peace. Sometimes the batil is higher, sometimes the haqq is higher, just like the Muslims, just like humans. They are no different to you and to me. And to respect them will earn you their respect. To detest them will earn you their manifestations. They are not here to harm you, because their role in life is exactly the same as my role and your role and the role of the Ummah of Rasulullah. Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ I created insan and jinn only for my ibadat. Only for my ibadat. They are prone to be very active, hyperactive. They find it very hard to sit still. They are always fidgety. They hate it when you are in the masjid and you talk about the world. They hate it when you are in the masjid and you are talking. Not when you are praying Quran loudly. They will come and listen. When you are doing dhikr, they will take part. It is when you are talking that they don't like it. And they say amongst themselves, then why is this mankind so ignorant when they know that the Rasul that came to them has told them to talk in the house of Allah is to become the enemy of Allah. You are aduwwullah if you talk in the masjid of Dunya. They hate these, they watch these things, but they are governed by their own aqaid not to interfere. But sometimes, just like humans, we are not allowed to interfere in the day-to-day running of the hukumat, but sometimes we interfere. We take the law into our own hands because the guy, he just took your parking spot. So as soon as he comes out of the car, you go up to him and you have your words to say to him and he says his words, and before you know it, a bit of a tussle takes place. You went past your frontier, you passed your qawanin. Similarly with them. Many times, people who get afflicted by jinn. There's only 4 ways you can get affected by jinn or shayateen. 1, because of your bad habits. You frequent the wrong places. You are not pure. You are not pak. And a shayateen who likes the way that you are, because of what you are becoming, will take over you, enter inside you, and then make you a worse person. Second, the first one is self-destruction. You did it to yourself. It didn't do it. You did it to yourself by being this kind of individual. Mu'mins are supposed to be pak. You are not pak. You are outside. You're in the wrong places, doing the wrong things. Shisha dens. These are the most favorite places for shayateen. And this is today's rage, isn't it? Today's rage is the shisha. Young boys and young girls all go for shisha. And there are so many places. Fortunately, they started banning them because of the carbon monoxide issue. But this is crime place, nightclubs, sharab-khanas, kabrastans, rubbish tips, old places, forests, old fields, canals, rivers, twilight zones by water, where the sun and the shade, where they divide. This is where the shayateen live, in this twilight. Not in this world, not in that world. So the first issue is self-inflicted. The second is where a person accidentally wants to do an amal, or deliberately wants to do an amal, where he can captivate and enslave a shayateen or a jinn. Yes, there are some people who do it. And they think by controlling this one element of a jinn, he will have control over this jinn and he will be able to do what he wants to fellow men. I.e., he will use it to hurt or to make himself rich or to make himself powerful or to elevate him to different muqams and positions of society. And the amal goes wrong and the jinn takes revenge. Or the amal goes right, he weakens over time and the jinn takes over and takes revenge. And this revenge will now last not until he is dead and in the grave after 20 years of excruciating difficulties, but it will be run to his children and to then to their children and then to their children, because he will live a long time. You, me, we will not go past 80, 90 or 100. He will live minimum 1,000 years, and he will take revenge on the nasal of the person who tried to intimidate and control their kind. Third, again, this is self-inflicted, self-destructive. Third, accidental. You unknowingly give jinn taklif. Taklif can be you are sitting in the saf, 2 of you, and you start to laugh, and he is in salah. He was playing salah here, and you were sitting there, and you were talking amongst each other, and your voices were loud enough, and it was causing dakhal in his salah. He finishes salah, and he pushes you. That one push will make you severely ill. It was accidental because you didn't know that he was there. But you were wrong, but it's still accidental. This is the third one. It could have been you threw garbage out of the window. Okay? You were working in your house and you have a garden and there's trees in the back and there's makhluk living in these trees. And you were sweeping up the rubbish from your house and you threw it out of the window and the children of the jinn were playing outside the window and it landed on top of them. And they were dusted over and the father of the jinn is watching and thinking, oh, why you do this to my children? Just like you would react if someone did this to your children, we will also react. This is third. And the fourth, Allah dua hifazat from the fourth one. This is where somebody wants to give you some form of calamity in your life and he does know someone who has ta'weez of the wrong kind and he sends a jinn and it enters inside you. And now this jinn will do as the instructions of the sorcerer, the wizard, the sahir, or whatever you want to call him, and this jinn will give you pain and destruction, pain and destruction. And the more it hurts you, the more satisfaction it will get. And this is the worst affliction. Because this can happen to anyone who is alive in this world. Anyone. Because this is in league with shayateen. And this is the link between jinn and jadoo. So I work from back to the front of where jadoo starts. Now I will move on from the topic of jinn to the jadoo. Unless anyone has any questions. I'm sure you have loads of them. So this is where jadoo starts, where somebody uses the power of the jinns, shayateen, to inflict pain. Because he is jealous, because he is evil, or because he is just malicious. What is jadoo? And who is immune from it? Qur'an is immune? You are immune? You are? I am immune? Even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not immune to Sahara. 2 attempts were made. The second one, the affliction of it, lasted him all the way to the point of Sakrat. Even though it was removed by Jibreel alayhi salam, it still affected him to the dying moment. Because he said, I can still feel it on my heart. Jadoo can only be done when the person who wants to do it to you has something about you. Your hair, your nail, you blew your nose in a tissue and threw it in the bin, it's quite sufficient. You lost a sock that hasn't been washed, or the clothes you were wearing which haven't been washed yet, even your talking, okay? The comb that you left at home and a hair in it, that was sufficient. Or the hair was on your pillow, it is sufficient. In ladies, even the menstruating tampons and towels that they use, which they have disposed of in the bin, someone goes to the bin and takes them out. These are where they have taken something physical about you. And then it is given by the person who has taken it, because the person who has took it is not capable of doing it himself or herself. There must be an intermediary in this. And the intermediates will go all the way back to an ifrit, who will command a medium-sized army, and he will dispatch some of the shayateen from his army to enforce the sahar for which he has taken in the floor. So, physical, materialistic, physical elements of an individual are needed to do sahar. That's all? No, not all. Your tasweer, your photo is sufficient. Your date of birth is sufficient. Because through this, you can be recognized. When you go to the council and they ask you for your data, they ask you your name, your national insurance number, your date of birth. You found the gas man. Even he wants your date of birth. Because from that, the computer will tell you who they are talking to. Similarly, in this world, the date of birth is a crucial element for the sahib to be able to execute the deed that he wants to do. And the deed will not be good. So this is sahar. Someone has to do something to do it. And it can be an individual who doesn't like you or your children or your progress or your business or your car or your house or the color of your skin or even the size of shoes you wear. Any excuse. he will go and he will pay someone. He will pay someone to have this done to you, and once it is done, you will suffer because of it. How much you will suffer is up to you. It's entirely up to you. Why? The stronger your iman will fight it. The weaker your iman, it will become ghalib over you. So now your life will become a constant struggle of fighting this thing, but you will always be at a disadvantage because it will always catch you unaware and catch you off guard. So, how do you protect yourself? Bearing in mind all the little attributes that are needed by the sahib to protect yourself, can anyone in this majma tell me that he is truly bulletproof and can protect himself from sahab? No. But there is one way. Be good to everyone and give no one an excuse to do this to you. Your salah rahmati with people is your endurance. There are various wazaifs that you can pray, but you will still fall foul, because at one stage in your day you must go to the toilet, and at that time you are not protected by your malaika. Your guardian is not protected. There is a time if you are married that you will go and you will lay with your wives. At that time you will be in a state of janaba, so you will not be protected. You will be exposed. And this thing will wait for you. And if any one of you starts to see dreams where he sees snakes or dogs prowling, chasing him, trying to bite him, trying to block the route in his dream of where he wants to go, be forewarned that you are now under attack. This is your Kareem showing you through the karam of Allah. Wake up. There is something that is taking you out, something that is approaching you, and it is going to very soon get through your shield and it will attack you. There is no stopping it, except your Aamil. So what happens when it gets inside you? If you have ingested it, the only way out is after you exit it. Either you will vomit or you will pass it out in motion. Only two ways out. Do not just burn up inside you and disappear. You will physically vomit it, or you will physically pass it through your bowels. That's if you ingested it. But then, if someone took something that was yours and did the sahar on your hair, and then took it to the qabristan, to the cemetery and buried it, and it is until it is removed from the cemetery, the sahar will stay active. The sahar is active until the materialistic object that was used to execute the deed has been destroyed in the appropriate manner. I'll give you an example. We are all, alhamdulillah, Muslim. And we all believe in sahar, and we all believe in jinn. Alhamdulillah. We all believe in Allah and His Rasul and His Kitab. Similarly, the Yahud also believe in this. The Christians also believe in this. Sabi'in also believe in this. All the way to antiquity, everyone has believed in it. Whether they were Muslim or non-Muslim. Even the people who worship idols believed in it. Even the Fir'auns believed in it. You know about Musa and the Asa and the snakes and everything. You have all heard of one of the kings of the day of ancient Egypt, Tutankhamun. Yes? You've all heard of this, haven't you? Yeah. The king of kings from the Valley of the Kings in ancient Egypt. In the early 19th century, a man called Howard Carter, he opened the tomb of Tutankhamun. This was the first sealed tomb of ancient Egypt which has ever been opened, that has never been exploited by grave robbers. Immense treasures were found inside. And inside 7 sarcophaguses, Tutankhamun's mummified remains or body was intact. When it was extracted and taken out, as the bandages were undone and the scrolls, when they were deciphered, they found that Tutankhamun had paid vast amounts of money to ensure that his passage, na'udhu billah, from this world into the next life would be calamity free. And he had paid huge, vast amounts of land, ships and harbors to magicians to ensure that anyone who ransacked his grave after his death, he would be punished. And in it they found one tabiz. I have a copy of it somewhere. And it is cast iron, metal. And it's been engraved, stamped into metal. Now metal will not corrode in a year, like your hair will in the Qabristan. And metal will not corrode like some paper wrapped up in that cloth and plastic and waterproof and then buried into the earth. The earth has a tendency of destroying everything. Allah's qudrat. But metal will outlast a long time. In the 19th century, 4,700 years after Tutankhamun had been buried, his grave was ransacked or discovered by Howard Carter. His body was uncovered, and from inside the tawizes were exposed. Immediately the jinns went into play. The jinns who were assigned to these tawizes were still alive 4,700 years ago, were exposed. Howard Carter died strangely. His brother died. His son died. His sister died. 21 people in his expedition died within 40 days. The Museum of London, where some of his artifacts are still there, where his original body is still kept. It's not in Egypt. His original body is still in London. But it is kept in a secure vault, and every night some strange happenings happen inside this vault. And they all know, and they are not oblivious to what is happening, but they all choose to just close the door and keep it that way, because no one wants to interfere with it. Because even the person who helped to unload the mummified remains of Tutankhamun died the next day. So no one wants to touch this cursed body. This is how old this tabiz is, 4,700 years old. And it is documented by the scribes of ancient Egypt. The scrolls have been deciphered, and the whole story has been narrated, and I am telling you. So you will now obviously, inshallah, go home and start looking into this to confirm it. After the fall of ancient Egypt, as Zamana carried on and on and on, tombs remained sealed. Mamun Rashid, Khalifa Mamun Rashid, once ordered that the Great Pyramid of Giza be breached and opened. And it was opened, and people went inside to see if they could find treasures. The Khalif wanted to drain any gold elements or any treasures that may have been in the pyramids to help his Khilafat or whatever. For whatever means, the tombs were breached. Many people who went inside, when they came out, they complained of seeing purple figurines moving along the walls, shiny floors, trying to pick up pieces of gold which were so heavy that they couldn't pick them up, or carrying away huge quantities of gold in their saddlebags and in their satchels, but never been able to turn around and walk to the door until they let go of the gold. Mamun Rashid reordered the sealing of the tomb. Because when he asked his Mashaykh did, they told him, these places have now become the home for the jinns. The shayateen live in there, and the treasure inside is believed to be theirs now. It cannot be violated. But anyway, that was that. But Sahar, it does not just die out. The good thing about Sahar is, when the person dies, the Sahar goes with him into the grave. It doesn't go to his offspring. But with jinn is different. If your mother is afflicted by jinn, there is a huge percentage that her children will eventually, as she gets older and older, the children will start getting affected by the same family of jinns. It will run in legacy. Sometimes when the jinns are made to come up and ask why they have done this to the individual, the simple answer they give is, these are the children of the mushrikeen. We are dumbfounded. They are Muslim, they are not mushrik, they don't believe in idols. He said, no, but their forefathers used to come to the mandir, which is true, isn't it? Our forefathers were not Muslims. We are descendants of people who are not Muslims. Not all of us were born, our great-great-great-grandfathers were Muslim. We entered into Islam. So he's using the excuse 4 generations ago that their great-great-great-grandfather was a mushrikeen. This is why we have the haqq to do this. And when we ask this jinn to leave, or this shayateen to leave, it will say, I'm not going. And we will ask it why it doesn't want to go, and it will give a simple answer. I love his life. I love the way he lives. Which means that there is a discrepancy in how we are all living. We are far from Iman, Aamil, Quran, Salah, Dhikr. Our rosy rizq, is it halal? To what extent is it halal? If we really break it all down, are we all eating haram? Am I eating haram? Because if I am eating haram, none of my a'mal are maqbool. They will never be accepted. It's a simple fatwa. And the shayateen uses little excuse. Anyway, cut the story short. It has to die. If it doesn't embrace it, has to die. And Allah has shown how to sort this issue. He gave you Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. He gave you Ayatul Kursi. He gave you the whole Quran. The whole Quran is the ilaj for everything that I have said. Salah will make your iman strong. Quran will put nur in your heart. If there is nur in your heart, no sahar, no jinn can live in your heart. It will live in your body. So it will afflict your arms or your legs. Typically, if a person has a jinn inside him, these are the ailments that he will feel, which I know some of you are feeling. He will suffer from headaches. But the headache will only be on half the side of his head, usually here, left-hand side. Secondly, his eyesight will weaken. He will find it troubling to focus. He'll have to move back and forth until he finds that perfect spot where he's focused. Eyes will suffer. Third, his sleep will be affected. He will not be able to sleep normally like 10 o'clock after Isha. It will be 2, 3, 4 o'clock. The heavier the affliction, the later he will sleep. Because insan sleeps when it is dark and shayateen sleeps when it is light. So comes to Sadiq, it is time for shaitan to go to sleep. When it sleeps, the human, because he's so tired, he will go to sleep. But all night he has been fully active. Tossing and turning, not being able to go to sleep. They will start to incur hair loss. Their diet will differ and their stomachs will feel bloated. They will eat small amount and feel bloated, and suddenly they will eat huge amounts of food and they will still not feel full. He will start suffering pain in his legs, because as he walks around all day and everything, the shaitan or the jinn will seek refuge in his legs, below his knees, usually on his shins. Just before he goes to sleep, he will either have very hot feet or very cold feet. Why hot or why cold? I will explain very briefly, because time is running today. If the jinn is a jinn which lived above the earth, he is hot, so your feet will get hot. If it is a jinn from under the ground, which is cold, or it's from the water, then you will get cold. Where the jinn is from is how your body temperature will be active. He will have an insane temper, a bipolar personality where on account of some situations he will get very, very agitated, frustrated and angry. And he will always think that he is right in his argument and he will never back down. Then, as the jinn encroaches closer and closer to his brain, it will start to do dakhal in his ibadat. And how it will do, it will play a very clever game. Either it will say to him, your wuzu is not good, so you must take more time in your wuzu. And he will start doing more khushu in his wudu, so much so that he will miss the takbir. So much so that he will miss his jamaat. Or he will not let him keep wuzu. He will struggle to remain in wuzu. He will walk in and he will have to leave the salah because his wuzu is breaking. Or as soon as namaz is finished, his wuzu will break. Or just before namaz is going to start, his wuzu will break. So it's constantly running back and forth to stay in wuzu. Throughout the day, he will never stay in wuzu. Because wudu is the armor of the mu'min. And shaitan does not like Muslims to wear their armor. And our armor is very simple, is wudu. You don't need metal body armor or Kevlar or whatever you call it. Kevlar, that's the name. You just need wudu and you are protected. Next, If he can master this wuzu thing, this human being can master this, or come to some kind of capacity to be able to withstand it, then it will now interfere in this salah. It will do two things. One, it will say to you, no, you don't have enough khushu. You must pray it again, and again, and again. And this poor soul will just carry on praying until he flips. Or it will take him into the dunya while he is in his salah. And he will lose concentration. And by an extent of time passing, he will get to the point that he will not be able to remember whether he is in third or fourth rakah. This is where anybody who is suffering from this can wake up, because you have gone through a lot of those ailments now, and you have come to here. It's time to wake up. If it's affecting your salah, then there is something immensely wrong. Because this affliction is very different to you thinking of your shop, or you thinking about your argument with your wife. This is where you are incapable of remembering how many rakat you have actually done. Not just a minor distraction, or the guy who is coughing in the rear saf, he affected my Surah Fatiha. But I still know I'm first rakat and fourth rakat. But here you have completely forgotten, and now you will juggle. Is it 3 or is it 4? And if you get to that stage, you know you need to do something. Can you treat yourself? This is one of the questions that I think about 44 people are thinking of right now. Can you treat yourself? Partly yes, partly no. You can weaken it and weaken it and weaken it through your Aamil. And if you're consistent and you're persistent in your Aamil, in a few years' time, you will have damaged it so much that it will become intolerable for it to stay inside you because of the pain that you are afflicting it with. It will voluntarily leave. The day it leaves, you will feel very, very sick. You will get very, very hot. You will have a huge temperature. And for the next 2 weeks, you will feel very, very weak. And you will have difficulty sitting like this on the ground on your haunches because your backbone will hurt so much. Then you know you won. And then you will find a new charisma in the ibadah that you do. You will want to do ishraq, you will want to do awabin, you will want to do more nafal, you will want to pray more Quran, do more tasweet, and be good to other people, stop swearing, etc., etc., etc. You will know yourself, I am a changed person. But if you are not consistent in your a'mal, in your salah, in your Quran, in your adhkar, then it will come back. And then you will fight it again and push it down, and then it will come back. And then you will fight again and push it down, and then again it will come back. And this you will carry on until you are physically capable of doing it because of your body requirements. We all get old one day. We all get weak one day. And it will wait for that day. And then it will give you an affliction where you can no longer stay in wudu. You suddenly develop an infection in your stomach and your bowels won't stop closing anymore. So you can't stay in ghusl and you can't stay in wudu, and you're constantly fighting to stay pak. Eventually you will give up after 2 months. Or you can't control your bowels anymore. Or your kidneys fail, which means you can't stay in wudu again. It will play this. Or you will get so ill and sick that it is a mammoth of a task for you to get out of bed to go and do your wudu. And now the deterioration will creep in and in and in. Even though you are old and frail, it will not take mercy on you. Remember, it is your sworn enemy. Inna shaytana lakum aduwwun. It has no mercy. If it had mercy, if shaitan had mercy, it would not be content in seeing millions and millions of people burn in Jahannam tomorrow. It would have mercy. It doesn't have mercy. Further on from this, there is one more thing that I haven't covered. It's called ayn. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ayn is haqq. It is true. And it is so powerful. It will put a man in his grave or a camel into the cooking pot. So what is ayn? What is ayn? Ayn is exactly as the word describes, the eye, the evil eye. But it is not just the evil eye, it can also be the loving eye, it can also be the sweet eye. A father can give eye to his children just by saying, oh, they are so good, they are so beautiful. Always put the name of Allah in everything you do and say, MashaAllah, he is so beautiful. MashaAllah, this business is so fruitful. MashaAllah, Allah has given so much barakah in this. MashaAllah. This is the antidote for ayn. And ayn works gradually. It slows down a person, gives him an illness, and then he withers and goes away. Again, it is harder to treat ayn because the simplest cure for ayn is you find the person who has done it to you, and you take his ghusl or his wudu water and you wash with it, and the ayn will be removed. But how do you know who did it? It's impossible to find out who did it. So again, like with the other two, jinn and sahar and ayn, inclusive, the shifa is in the Quran. And you use the Quran to treat yourself. You don't have 3 lemons with crosses on. You don't have the names of Harut and Marut and Jallat and this and Sikandar and everything else to treat yourself with. You do not go and bury Tawizat that some crazy Maulana has given you or some crazy Shaykh has given you in the Qabristan to cure yourselves. You do not tie pieces of string around your ankles. I met a man on Eid. He came to our house to meet my family. Some of you know my father. Allah give him Allah.
Aamil.
And he had a daga on his leg, a thread. I looked at him. And earlier I had seen, before I went in the house, some other guy walking, and he also had the same string on his leg, on his ankle. I looked at him and he knows the family and he'd come to see. I asked him, Sajid, what is this for? He goes, oh, Maulana gave it to me because I had difficulty standing up in Taraweeh. So I said, MashaAllah, Maulana is very down, very gifted. Yeah? What did he do? He goes, it stopped me getting tired. I was getting quite ashamed because there were old people who were standing and I'm young and I couldn't stand. And I said to him, didn't the Maulana tell you that your 32 stones is a burden for you to stand in sun? not the tabiz. You stop eating, you control your diet, and you will not put so much pressure on your legs. I said to him, so what did he do with this string? Because he prayed some ayats of the Quran on this string, and he tied knots, and he told me to tie it to my leg, on my foot. So I said, so your Maulana is telling you to tie a piece of string on which he has prayed Quran to your feet. You're putting the Quran under your feet, and you will wear it to the toilet, and you will take a shower in it after you have been with your wife in the state of janaba. I said, you should go and shoot your Maulana. He said, why? I said, go and tell him I said this is shirk. And if anyone disagrees here, you can shoot me. This is shirk. The Quran is a kitab which Allah gave to insan. And till Qayamat, as amanat, he will take it back. Fi kitabin maknoon. He hasn't given it and he's discarded it. He's given it and he will take it back. He didn't give it to put it under the feet. He didn't give it so you would make taweez from it, and do amazingly insidious things with it. One Aamil I met, he was treating someone and he told them, bring one piece of liver and I will put your jinn inside the liver. I've heard of jinns into bottles. So he's going to put it into liver. So the man went on and he came back with half a kilo from the local butcher with liver covered in blood. And he did something and he said, the jinn is in the liver. I said, okay. So I said to him, now what do you do with the liver? He goes, we must go and throw it in the liver. I said, okay, give it to me. So I took the liver. I don't know whether I was right or not. I took the liver and I went to his family and I sent somebody with the liver and I said to the person, tell his family to cook this liver because the Maulana wants to eat this kaleji today. So she cooked it and she sent it back and me and Maulana ate the kaleji and carried on as normal. And then I asked him a couple of hours later, Maulana, how are you feeling? He goes, I feel great. I said, MashaAllah. 1 hour later I said, how do you feel now? He goes, MashaAllah, I feel great. I sat with him for about 11 hours that day. He's one of my ustads. And then 11 hours later, just before Isha, when all his patients had left and everything and we were alone, I said to him, that kaleji you ate was the same kaleji that you put that jinnat into. Is it affecting you? What do you mean? I said, I gave it to your family to cook, and me and you consumed it. It was a meal from heaven. And we enjoyed it. And I said to him, Malana, I came to you as a mukhlis, as a miskin, as a person who wanted to understand what these things are. And how can I accept what you are doing here when I know through the little ilm that I have acquired that this is shirk? How can I come to you as a non-shirk person and leave as an Aamil and a shirk? I said, it's not on. I said, you should stop this. I said, these things are no good. They are giving the ummah bad name. I said, okay, but I still need to sit with you because my other ustad has told me to sit with you. And he has told me that ignore some things. So I carried on sitting with him. And one day, one woman came. She's the wife, mashallah, of an imam. She has been in hijab all her life. No one has ever seen her face. A good Muslim sister, alhamdulillah, came. And this individual has been coming to this Aamil now for 18 years. 18 years of his marriage has been spent visiting the local Aamil, which is 30 kilometers away from where he does his imamat. And on the meager wages in India for an imam, that is a huge burden for him to withhold in this time. And the couple came in, I met the Maulana and everything, I sat with him talking away. This Aamil Sahib, he said to me, Ilyas, do this woman's ilaj. And I looked at him, and I'd never done ilaj in my life. I'd never done it before. I looked at this woman, and there was a screen, you know, like this window is. It's a wooden screen in India. So they can't see each other completely, but you know that there's someone there. And I just looked at her and I said, Wallahi, if you believe in Allah, and you believe in Yawm al-Qiyamah, and you believe that you cannot live forever, and you believe that you will also one day, and you will also stand in front of Allah one day, and give nisab for everything you have done from the day that you became baligh to the day that you will die, you will stop harassing this woman and leave the jinn. This is all I said. This is all I said. And it spoke. And what it said, I will never forget. It said, if all of you Aamils only spoke the truth, half of your ummah would be cured in one sitting. In one sitting. Because of the games that you play to make huge and vast amounts of money and make yourself famous, we can play our games with the patients and make them suffer endlessly. The jinn left. This jinn was inside one woman. This woman has a sister who lives in Birmingham. And this sister found out and came to Dewsbury for her ilaj. And that's how I came to Birmingham 5 years ago. That's how I came. I'm a civil engineer by profession. I have 2 degrees. I'm not an Aamil. I wasn't born an Aamil. I had no notions I would become an Aamil. I never knew that I was favored and I was gifted by someone. It just happened. I never read a single kitab. I never read a single kitab about Taweez or Ambiyat in my whole life. I had a massive stroke and I was in hospital and I was dying and the doctor said I would be dead in 3 days. All my major organs were failing. And I looked to my right and I saw something, and I looked to my left and I saw something, and they both said to me, tomorrow you will pray Jummah in Markaz. This is where it all started. No big fat kitab, no. And I went to India to this Aamil, not to learn from him, to ask someone, who were they that I saw? Who are they that are here all the time with me? What do they want from me? And he couldn't answer my question. He couldn't answer. He said this, he said that, he said this. The only people who could answer it was Hafiz Patel Sahib, my Ustad, and my father, Ishaq Patel, in Markaz. They said to me, go to the Aamil where you did your ilm and talk to your Ustad, and they will tell you to the right person. And that's where it happened. And I never came back from there wanting to be an Aamil. Never. I just came back, and someone would say to me, Maulana, my daughter's run away. In masjid, he would say to me, my daughter's run away. And I would look at him and say, what's her name? What's her mother's name? Chalo inshallah, 15 minutes mein wapas aa gayi. And she would walk into the door, 15 minutes down the road. And it happened so many times that I started to scratch my own head and think, what is going on here? This is the ibtida. This is where it happened. Then of course, I read other kitabs under other ustads, and then Shura told me to do this. Shura Aamil was told me to do this. They said to me, go and do this because the ummah needs this help now. And it's true. I have patients who come to me from France, from Canada, from America, from Dubai. We run a clinic in France, we run a clinic here in Mosul. We have the options of another one in Colchester, in East London, in Edinburgh, in Casablanca. But there's no time for one person to be everywhere in the world. And it is tiring. So here I am in Birmingham and I'm content. And I hope the little brief that I gave you gives you a bit more clarity on this shadowy world that lives alongside you and me, which doesn't want to do dakhal or give you harm, which does have respect for you in their hearts. It also has love for you in its heart. But we do not have respect for it. We are taking vast quantities of land which was never built on for centuries, where they have lived, and we are building houses and buildings on them. Where do you want them to go? Where will they go in their multitude of millions when you are cutting down entire forests where their habitation has been for millennia? So you will find something in your house. Because there was a tree in your garden that you cut down and you never went through the correct procedure. And you made him and his family destitute. So they moved into your attic and then slowly into your bedroom and then slowly into your kitchen and into your bathroom. We do it to ourselves. They don't do dhulm on us. They were here before us. But we have done dhulm on them countless times. And they have done sabr of this countless of times. But even for you to understand, we are ashraful makhluqat. We are ins. And we are greater than you in the eyes of Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran was given to ins, not to the jinn. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and every one of the 120,000 anbiya is from ins, not from your kind. We are ashraful makhluqat. And this is for you. We are ins. Be proud to be insan. Be proud to be mu'min. Be proud to put this forehead in sujood on the qadam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nothing will harm you. If you fear Allah, everything will fear you. If you have no fear of Allah, everything will frighten you. Inni akhaf Allah. Fear your Allah. Love your Allah. And make your iman. And you will see what iman carries and what it does to your heart and what it does to yourselves and to your families and to the quality of the life that you live. Forsake your iman and then live for millennia how insanity has lived, where it has cut and ground each other into pulp and destroyed the fabric of society. Only iman differentiates this between mu'min and kufr. Be mu'min and strive to make your iman, because only your iman will take you safely through this world into Yawmul Akhirah and into Jannah, inshallah. I think the time for Adhan is close.
5 minutes.
So my respected brothers, elders, ulama, if I have offended any one of you, I know as I was talking, so many of you have felt the pain in your stomach, in your back, in your neck. Some of you felt a buzzing noise in your ear. Some of you felt your ear popping. Some of you felt your fingers twitch. Some of you felt the pain in your ankle, in your shins. I see it from here. How, why, only Allah knows. How this ilm comes, only Allah knows. I am just one person like you. If you cut me, I bleed. When I'm hurt, I cry. When I'm happy, I laugh. But look after yourselves, but first look after your iman, and your iman will look after you. If you must go to an Aamil, make sure that whatever he does with Bismillah. Whatever he gives you, make sure it doesn't have numbers on it. Make sure it doesn't have symbols on it. Make sure it is with Bismillah. Don't take any taweez which has even got Quran on it unless it is an absolute necessity because your ilaj is so severe. I'm not outruling it because Mufti Rajuni's fatwa, Mufti Usmani fatwa is there. They are very, very learned. But I also do not have the complete Salafi ideology because they are also wrong. Be good to yourselves, to your families. Do salah rahmati. Don't fight amongst yourselves. Stay in wudu. Do your salah. Do your Quran. Do your dhikr. Do your azkar. Align yourself to some shaykh so that you are in good company and in good sound advice. And enjoying yourself to some kind of dawah, some kind of work for deen, which will always create tazki in your iman, refresh in your iman. And inshallah, you will be suffered. Allah give me, you and everyone tawfiq to understand and practice.